very excited that for the second time in around 6 months, it took us 2 years to get her back on the show, but now here she is for the second time in 6 months. She's actually in New York right now promoting this amazing book. You heard me talk about it at the top of the show. We're going to talk about it again now. Ronda Rousey, who has penned this book that comes out tomorrow. Tomorrow, you could pre-order it now. Comes out tomorrow. It's called My Fight, Your Fight. I read it, and I have a lot of things that I need to discuss with her about it. She joins us right now on the phone. Ronda Rousey, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much. This means a lot. I know that you are so busy today, and for you to take out some time for us little MMA people means a lot. I appreciate it very much. I have to say
No
something.
problem.
Thank you. I have to say something right off the bat. I've been around this world for 32 years, and I've read a few books in my day, but I've never read a book in 25 hours. When your amazing agent, one of the very best, if not the best in the business, Brad Slater, sent it to me Friday night. He said, "You must finish this weekend, and I want notes as you go through the book." And I'm a father of two, and I was alone with my kids on Saturday. There was no way in my mind that I could finish this book. I finished it in 25 hours, and I'm not just saying it because you're on the phone, honestly, and I hope people believe me. I was blown away. I couldn't put it down. It was honest. It was revealing. It was riveting. It was one of the very best sports books I've ever read, books, period. So I just want to say right off the top, congratulations. You and your sister did a masterful job, and it was really an amazing piece of work. You should be very proud.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm extremely proud of Maria. She really killed it. She knocked it out of the park. I mean, I really lucked out that my sister is an award-winning sports journalist. She's got a real talent of really making you feel like you're there.
And making it sound like it was you. And that was obviously, one of the key things when someone is working with another writer, you want it to sound like yourself. And I can hear your voice throughout. How difficult was the process, though? Because, your story, for the most part, well documented. You've been through a lot, and you've been through more in a short amount of time than most people in their entire life. How difficult was this process to relive it with a family member, not just some stranger?
I think it was easier in a way because I did it with my sister Maria, because there are a lot of things that I would feel uncomfortable talking about to somebody else that I knew would just be faking empathy for the sake of making money writing a book. And plus Maria knows a lot of the questions to ask. She was there. She lived it too. And yeah, she knows my voice, my rhythm of speech and vernacular, so it's really easy for her to pick up exactly how I would say it. And, I mean, it was really hard going through some things because, you get through stuff and you remember that it happened, but actually having to relive every story and have to really explore the whys behind things was one of the harder things, because I would have to explain every single thing that I did. Like, well, why were you doing this? Why did you do that? And it was very introspective in that way. But I learned a lot about myself, and me and my sister ended up a lot closer by the end of the process.
As I mentioned, it was very honest. It was very revealing, and we'll talk about a few of those examples in a second. But what was the hardest part to relive? Was it your dad, or was it something else?
I think talking about stuff with my dad was difficult. And surprisingly, talking about Ultimate Fighter in front of my family was very, very difficult. And because remember, my mom was there, my family was there. We were just sitting at lunch, and I was talking to my sister about it. And there were a lot of tears shed in the writing of this book, for sure. I mean, there would be times where I would be in the middle of lunch after training, my sister would hit me up. She's like, "Hey, we need something right here. Could you tell me just one thing about a little snippet about how you felt after you won your Olympic medal?" And I wrote the one paragraph in my phone about my dad's flag, and I was like in the middle of some random Armenian food place, just burst into tears, like sobbing over my cell phone in the middle of some random place. And just random times, Maria would hit me up, "I need something like this, something like that," and your mind would just immediately be transported back to that moment and have to relive it over and over and over. But you know what? The process of like reading through it, I think it was harder than telling it, because I would read these parts over and over and over and over again, and there wasn't a single time that I wasn't laughing and crying reading the book. I didn't get desensitized to it. I think that was the hardest part, was the correction process.
You mentioned something that was quite striking to read. You said that you don't think if your dad doesn't pass away, that all this other stuff happens to you. You guys moved to North Dakota, and then you moved back to California, and a whole bunch of stuff happens in between, and you kind of wondered out loud, or maybe you even said the statement, if now I remember correctly, like what we see now, what has happened to you since, maybe doesn't happen if that horrible tragedy doesn't happen to you. Do you really believe that?
I believe that we would have stayed in North Dakota and I never would have done judo, 100%.
Wow.
And my life would have gone an entirely different direction, and maybe it would have gone in a fantastical other direction that I also would have loved. But I wouldn't be where I'm at now, that's for sure.
You mentioned that flag, and obviously we don't want to give away too much, but that was I'm a pretty emotional guy. I tend, especially now having kids, I tend to cry too much. When that part, your mother was given a folded flag. Your father served his country, and she did not open it for 13 years. I believe it was when you were in the Olympics that she brought it out, right, and unfolded it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was right after I won the bronze medal that I looked up and saw it.
Did you know right away that that was the flag? Did you know that she had it in her possession and she was planning on opening it there?
No, I knew it. It was my idea. I was the one holding on to his flag all that time. It had been folded in a plastic triangle. I'd kept it for a long time. And then when we were going to the Olympics, I handed it to my mom, and I told her specifically that I wanted her to bring it.
Wow.
But I forgot about it while I was fighting, because I'm fighting. I'm not thinking about it. And so it's like when they put the belt on me, I every single time I forget about it, that someone's going to sneak up behind me and put a belt on me. Like I jump every
Yeah.
time. And so like, of course I forgot about the flag. And the second I looked up at it it's like someone sneaking behind you and putting a belt behind your waist that you're surprised times 1,000.
Also amazing is when you talk about one of your lowest moments. I believe you're in a parking lot outside of a 24-hour fitness, and you're telling yourself that this is the depressing part of your book, that at some point you're going to write this story and this is the low moment, and you'll come back and you'll be, queen of the hill. Is that something that you say afterwards, or do you actually really remember telling yourself that? Because if so, that's almost like an out-of-body experience.
No, that was my pep talk to myself a lot of the time. If I came back from working all night and they're tarring the roof next door and I only have a few hours to rest, but I have to breathe in fumes in my bed and just be sweating on my bed with no sheets on it, and so that, my pep talk to myself before I go to my next job or my next workout was, this is just the part of the book where the person is struggling to get through the shitty part. And that was how I got myself through things. I talked myself through things. Was I convinced myself that I was in the middle of fantastic autobiography, and no one wants to read a book about how everything is dandy all the time.
Right. And I think you're very lucky that your sister is a journalist, because journalists, as you know, sometimes, I know you've had your battles with journalists, especially as of late, but they seek the truth, and maybe as opposed to just a friend or someone who's there to write a book, they'll be a little less fluffy. And it seemed like, like I said, you were very honest. Did she kind of bring that out of you? Did she say, we need to tell people what really happened here? Like I'm reminded of you talking about your relationship with Dana White, which I didn't think for, in a million years you would address these rumors that you guys were dating and things like that, but you addressed that head on. Was that something that she said you need to do, or did you want to do that?
No, I just told the story the way that I told it. And that was one of the things on my mind. When I had to keep it a secret for that long, that I was going to be in the UFC, and that was something I really had to go through. I'm terrible at keeping secrets, and I'm terrible at deflecting things. If someone's like, "Why are you here?" and I can't say while I'm there, that was a really frustrating time for me. To leave that out would be omitting the truth.
Yeah, I remember seeing you backstage in Minnesota, Toronto as well, as you mentioned. Couldn't they have told you, like, all right, this trip you don't have to come on, we're not going to announce it? Why'd they make you go to all those fights?
Because they kept thinking that they were so close that by the time we got there, we'd be able to do it.
Okay. And you still had to go through the whole thing over and over again, where these new dresses and get all made up, and then you're let down almost. It probably was really annoying.
Yeah, it was in a way, but it was also kind of cool in that, I was flying around on a private plane and being spoiled, but it was annoying in that I kept getting built up and then let down, and built up and then let down, and it happened like 3 times until they surprised me at Nate's fight.
The New York Post came out with a review of your book yesterday, and they made a lot of the fact that after the Olympics you were smoking and had a bit of an addiction to pain pills. How bad was this?
It wasn't that bad. I never considered myself addicted. I mean, there was no time that I wasn't at work where I was like, oh, I got to get myself some of that, and nothing like that. It was more like just an environment I was in. It was just available. It was there. I was like, whatever. And I was really depressed because devoting my life to this ideal and building my body up made me so unhappy that I thought maybe breaking it down would make me happy. And then I kind of found at that point that neither of them are working out. I got to think of something else.
If you met a young girl right now, 12, 13, 14 years old, who loves judo, who loves any kind of Olympic sport, and says her dream is to be an Olympian and win a medal, would you tell her or him not to do this, given your experience?
No. No one can tell you what your dream should be. If that's their dream, they should go do it. That's it. If anyone told me not to do it while I was going after it, it wouldn't have affected me in the least. So, no, they just got to follow their path. If that's what they really want to do, it's going to lead them somewhere. But it's better for them to know what they're getting into instead of having a false idea of this idyllic dream that they sell you.
Do you regret it?
No, not at all. But I definitely wouldn't do it again.
You wouldn't? What did you...
No, if they gave me a free wild card to go to the Olympics and compete, I wouldn't do it.
So you use that on the Olympics and not the Ultimate Fighter?
What do you mean?
Well, because I feel like you really dislike that. I would expect you to say that you would use it on the Ultimate Fighter, not to have to do that again.
Use what on the Ultimate Fighter?
The wild card, to not do something all over again.
Oh yeah, no. The wild card. A wild card is when you have to qualify your country.
Yeah. Oh.
You qualify yourself in the Olympics. And so they have so many wild cards that they can give out. So even if your country hasn't been qualified, they can give you the wild card and you can fight anyway.
Okay, I understand.
Like say that you were Olympic champion, but you got injured for 2 years and then you didn't have enough points, they could give you a wild card so you can go compete anyway.
Okay. I don't know if you know this. My uncle was a judoka in the Olympics. Did you know that?
I did not.
1976.
Was he in the Maccabea game?
No. These are the real Olympics. 1976 Olympics, Montreal. He represented Lebanon. He lost in the preliminary rounds, but he's there. We have the pictures to prove it. How about that?
That's cool. No, I didn't doubt he was in the real Olympics. I just asked if he was in the Maccabea games as well.
No, that's me, but that's a different story for a different day because we are short on time. Do we have a couple more minutes?
Me? I think we just pulled up. Have we? Yeah, we just pulled up to Sirius.
Okay, let me ask you 3 more things, and then I'll let you go. My favorite part of the book, do you know what it was?
What?
When you were talking about this show, I couldn't believe it. I'm reading the book, and there's like 2 pages about the MMA Hour. In fact, I wanted to play the clip of you on it, but we've run out of time, so I don't want to waste time. But wow, that was amazing. You didn't mention my name, but you mentioned the show, so it's good enough for me. I had no idea.
I didn't even remember.
It was amazing. It was November of 2011. It was you and Misha Tate on at the same time. Essentially, I believe we got you the title shot. I mean, let's be honest. It was an amazing debate, but I didn't know that you prepared so much for the interview. You spent like several days playing her, playing you, doing all kinds of research. That was pretty cool. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Maybe you could do a reading of that whole part if you want later. You could do sustained silent reading with Ariel Alwani.
I have the clip. I wanted to play it for you to relive it, but I don't want to waste time. I went and found the clip, and you actually went through a whole transcript of it. Amazing stuff. Okay, last couple things before I let you go. And again, the book is called My Fight, Your Fight. It's tremendous. It's on sale tomorrow. Are you going to coach the Ultimate Fighter Brazil opposite Chris Cyborg?
No.
Okay, that's a rumor out of Brazil.
Ultimate Fighter ever again.
Okay, everyone's asking me about this. This is not happening.
No.
Okay.
Everyone in the UFC, everyone in the Ultimate Fighter, everyone on Earth knows that I will never do that show ever again for all of the money in the world.
Fair
You
enough.
would have to hold my little sister at gunpoint to get me to do that show again.
Chris Cyborg came out. The UFC confirmed that she's under a Zuffa contract. Do you think we will see this fight sooner rather than later?
I don't know. I mean, Pacquiao Mayweather had about a 5-year build-up, and then it was $5.5 million. So we're about at 3. So I would say I would keep my hopes up till 5, and after that, I'm moving on with my life.
Okay. And then finally, will we ever see you inside a WWE ring?
Well, you have.
Yes, ever again.
I'm going to find a way to get back in there. I don't know how it would be possible in the foreseeable future. I mean, it's definitely not possible for a very, very long time. I have an extremely full schedule.
Yes.
But I want to find a way. Somehow, some way, someday. I just have no clue when.
All right. For now, we'll say goodbye. So much going on in your life. You have the Entourage movie coming out in June, this book coming out tomorrow, your fight, UFC 190. We'd even get to that. We'll save that for a different time. Good luck with the book. I know you're doing a ton of media here in New York. I can't say enough good things about it. If you're a fan of sports or just humanity, you should check it out 100%. My Fight, Your Fight, Ronda Rousey. Thank you so much for the time, Ronda, and we'll talk to you very soon. Really appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure. I'm really glad you liked it.
100%. I'm not lying. Trust me.
Thanks.
All right.
Have a good one. I'll talk to you later.
There she is, Ronda Rousey stopping by. Honestly, I'm not saying this, and I know 100% that you think I'm lying. I know it. I know it sounds like I'm just kissing ass, and to a degree, I don't blame you because you hear this on these shows so much. I can't say it enough. It was a great read. I've never read a book in 25 hours. Honestly, I haven't. I really haven't. It just and this was with kids. I read it on my iPhone because I wasn't sure I was going to get the book in time. I read it on my iPhone, and there are some great stories there. One cool story that we didn't get to, I think it was in the Miesha Tate fight, the second one, UFC 168. She says it's the last time she will ever throw a kick in a fight. She says her coach, Edmund, who the dynamic between them and how they got started is fascinating in its own right, says don't throw kicks because when you throw kicks, it shows that you're upset. I know you're upset. Don't throw kicks. And she threw one against Miesha Tate, and she says she'll never throw one again. Crazy. All kinds of good stuff in there. We know her story kind of in broad strokes, but not like this. I mean, a book is a whole different kind of beast. And it's a very honest and revealing book talking about her relationships with men, her family, the ups and downs. She even spent some time in Montreal, my hometown. So I know it sounds like I'm just kissing ass and yes, but trust me, it's worth getting. It comes out tomorrow. And she's doing a ton of media here in New York, and it's well deserved because sometimes these books, as we know in MMA in particular, they kind of fall flat. You know, they're just, you could tell it's a half-assed job. This definitely wasn't. And honestly, I'm not a fan of books that come midway through one's career. You know, it's like you're in your prime. What are you doing writing a book? There's so much to be told. There's so much left. But if her story ended at the Olympics, that was a book right there. Of course, 5 people would probably buy it. She's incredibly more popular now. There it is.